This time I will call to order the Hamilton County Council meeting for Wednesday, September 1st. May I have a roll call, please?
Brad Beaver.
Here.
Fred Glenn.
Present.
Steve Schwartz.
Present.
Amy Massalamany.
Present.
Ken Alexander.
Present.
Sue Mackey. Here. Steve Nation.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to make everybody say present instead of here.
I want to table that.
We will move on to the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilman Beaver.
Let's just have a moment of silence and remember all the men and women in the armed services this evening. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we need to read and approve of the minutes from the regular meeting on August 4th.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. This time we'll have public comments. Any public comments? Seeing none, we will move on to committee and officer reports. I have one item. Those of you that maybe had seen emails today, Brad Davis had sent information regarding a State Road 37 tour, and so there were dates that I actually had started the process of discussion for October. So if you could take a look and then check your calendars and respond back, that would be great.
Okay.
And that is all I have. We will move on to Mr. Vice President.
I have nothing, thank you.
Highway.
Well, we met, and one of the issues that we discussed was a communication procedure for upcoming projects, both potential and projects that the Highway Department and commissioners want to apply for funding from the MPO and or the state. And we are fine-tuning those processes, but we think we've got something really easy. Open communication, that way our body knows what type of funding is expected on projects that could be taking place in our county in the upcoming years. That way we can plan accordingly, whether we are incorporating it in a budget as the daily budget, or if we have to bond, or what we have to do for that. And I've got the agreements or the notes from our committee meeting that was there, as well as Commissioner Heerbrand attended as well to give the commissioner's viewpoint. And we're fine-tuning those to make sure that everyone's in agreement that was in that committee meeting, and then I'll share them with the rest of the council. But I think we all feel pretty good that this will work going forward.
That's great. Thank you very much. Finance.
We did not have a finance meeting, but as I alerted the president, I want to take a minute to go back to something we approved last month. I sat on the ARPA committee, which is the federal money, and we approved something last month that I wasn't completely clear on. I think we have some guys here. I'm going to call it the Baker's Corner Project. We've got some guys here that are on that. Why don't you come up and give us the down and dirty 5-minute explanation of what we've already funded and what you guys are going to do for us.
And as they are doing that, I just want to make a brief comment. My previous job, I came from Carmel Utilities, and in that role, I participated in the Central Indiana Water Collaborative, which is all the water utilities in Central Indiana for planning for water purposes, so we can work together. And in that process, I learned through the Indiana Finance Authority commissioned an extensive water use study for the state of Indiana, and previously the Indiana Chamber of Commerce commissioned a study for water use. We are growing significantly. Water is a very precious resource, and we need to make sure that we plan accordingly for growth. So I am very anxious to hear what these gentlemen have to say, because it is important for our future of our economy that we know what's going on for our county and specific pockets in our county. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Please go
Tell
ahead.
us who you are and where you're from.
My name is Bob Holden, and I'm a vice president with Wessler Engineering. Last month, we were contracted to do the Baker's Corner study, which is a wastewater study for a 4 square mile immediately surrounding the Baker's Corner area. As I'm sure you all are aware, The new NDOT interchange at 236th Street is likely to bring significant growth to that area. And so this is a project to do planning to how to sewer the area and how to provide wastewater treatment for that area, okay? So my apologies for the scale on the exhibit that you have in front of you, but it was really kind of the only way that we could get that area on paper. Since we have started the study, there has been significant interest expressed from a variety of different entities associated with Baker's Corner and also the 276th Street corridor. So as of right now, we're under contract to study that 4 square mile area only, but there has been quite a bit of interest expressed along 276th Street. So the oval that you see at the top of the exhibit in blue are the folks that have begun to express interest. The IEDC, the National Guard, have entities up there that are really very interested in having wastewater service as well. So we're beginning to take a look or consider how we can serve both areas. And so that is the sum and substance of where we are right now.
Okay, so your firm is gonna do a wastewater study, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, Robin, me and you had a discussion earlier this month. Did we also fund a drinking water study out of the ARPA money, or was it just the wastewater?
No, you did two, sorry, I don't have that with me. We did the Wessler and then the Intera.
That is correct.
Okay, do you have anything else for, all I wanted to all of us at one time heard what we were doing in Baker's Corner.
So that is the Baker's Corner portion. I'm gonna turn it over to Marty Westler.
Thank you.
He's gonna tell you about the water.
Thank you for
Okay.
coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks, Bob. Marty Wessler with Wessler Engineering. I recognize a few faces up here that I've worked with over the past few decades. We are a water resources engineering firm. We are also working with Intera on the county-wide water availability study. Intera is the prime consultant. We have a sub-consultant role on it. What I've handed out is the introduction and basically the executive summary of what Intera is going to be doing for the county on the county-wide water availability study. And some of the highlights from that, if I could briefly, there are from the Central Indiana Water Study that the Indiana Finance Authority contracted and was published earlier this year. There are signs of local groundwater supply shortages in Hamilton County. The quarries have begun using at least 10 million gallons a day of water that is being diverted. And what the county is looking at is the dewatering and the water that's being diverted is flowing via surface and it's not being, in all cases, incorporated back into the groundwater. And so one of the primary focuses of this is to do it's a 3-year-long project to install groundwater monitoring wells and to also work with the utilities in the area and also to look at surface water elevations so that over a period of several years, we can work with the county to accurately know what the groundwater situation is in the county. As we looked at this as part of the Central Indiana study, approximately a little bit under half of the county is served with potable drinking water. The rest is on private wells or it's unserved. And so as we looked at this, we also want to look at how the interrelation of the potable wells from the groundwater supply for the utilities and is affecting any private and also the economic development that's going to occur if the county is going to have enough groundwater. And then also to look at the possibility of introducing groundwater recharge, infiltration basins to, instead of that surface water just running off and going into the river and running downstream, to be able to recharge the aquifer here in Hamilton County. And so that is Intera's primary goal and objective of their study. I'm sorry, Jack Whitman with Intera could not be here tonight to actually talk to you about it from their perspective.
That's great. That's really all I needed. Let me ask Ron again. Okay, so what I want to do going forward, since I sat on the ARPA committee, is kind of use this spot in our program to tell you when we've allocated those monies, and I missed last month because we glommed it in with all the other grants. So we have approved 2 million or 3 million, Robin? What is your recollection?
2.1 for the Intera piece and 46 for the Westler piece.
46,000? Okay, so that's generally where we're at. We have another, and I appreciate you coming. You did exactly what I want to give us the thumbnail sketch of what's going on as far as you're concerned in the Baker's Corner, and I appreciate it. And so going forward, we'll have another ARPA meeting Friday. The council has already appropriated this money, so once it hits the ARPA group, it'll come back to us as a grant appropriation. So I'll just try to make it my personal effort to, this is coming through, this is what this is, on top of our regular grant funding.
Well, and we also have the minutes that are sent too, which is great.
Yeah.
So you should all receive those and,
Okay, so now we all know what's happening in Baker's Corner.
yes.
That's all I got.
Okay,
Peachy.
all right, moving on to personnel.
We did not meet, although we will have some items further down in our agenda tonight.
Thank you. Anything under miscellaneous? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have no unfinished. We will move to item 8, refunding of Hamilton County general obligation bonds of 2021, Series B, C, D, and parking garage financing. Mike Howard will review item A, which is the discussion of the ordinance.
Mike's been a regular guest these days.
At your last meeting, you introduced this ordinance, which basically authorizes the issuance of up to $43 million. That money will be used to fund approximately $30 million of outstanding bonds that we generally refer to as the 2013 B, C, and D that were issued to kind of catch up and do some things from the longest bonds. The D were used for the city's or the county's contribution to the Ivy Tech building acquisition. The shorter bonds were used for small structures, bridges, equipment, and some deferred maintenance on buildings. These bonds at this time are out there at an interest rate ranging from 4.1% to 5%. Under the refunding program, we anticipate that the yield on these bonds will be, the shortest maturity would be 0.2%, 0.25%, and the longest would be about 2%, and that is out to 2037. In addition to refunding the bonds, we will generate another $12 million to go toward the parking garage project. There will be no tax increase with this issue, but we will extend the levy that is paying the B, C, and D bonds now. We will extend it for somewhere between 3.5 and 4 years, depending on what the interest rate is, to fund that $12 million of what we call new money. The ordinance provides that there will be no rate increase, and with that, I think I will stop and answer any questions. This ordinance is before you for a final reading, and the accountants at Baker Tilly and our people are eagerly waiting to start assembling documents to close this transaction about the 3rd week in October. With that, I'll stop and answer any questions.
Taking it from 4.125 to 2, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's free money right there. I
Right,
mean,
it's free money, and Fred, I mean, my other client at Noblesville borrowed $18 million for 2 years on a note, 0.43%. And they don't have the
insane.
bond rating that you do. Of course, that's a 2-year maturity versus these that are out in 37, so these are out, 16 years.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I
Mike,
just,
do you need a motion on this
We
evening?
will get to that, please.
Oh, we will.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not there yet.
Yeah, we would appreciate final consideration and passage of this ordinance this evening.
Okay.
Is there any other questions regarding item A?
so moved.
Well, we're not there yet.
Uh,
Thank you.
well, I did-
We'll
neither did I.
move on to distribution of required tax levy financial information. You just ultimately acknowledge that,
We have a sheet from Baker Tilly up here for the public. If the public is interested before the public hearing, that is required by law. It's the same information that was presented at your last meeting, and it looks like the same number of people are going to pick it up to comment at the public hearing.
thank you. We'll move on to item C, which is the second public hearing concerning ordinance CC 08-04-2021-A. And at this time, I will open the public hearing. We'll move on to public comment. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I will move on to closing the public hearing. And at this time, I will ask for final consideration, a motion for final consideration of the ordinance CC 08-04-2021-A.
So moved.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We
And I'll
appreciate
be
it.
back up.
Yes,
in
thank
just a
you.
minute. Thank you.
We'll move on to new business. Item A, approval of vendor claims.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B, Scott Zarazi on behalf of Attorney General Todd Rokita. I know this was a reschedule from last month, and I do not see him in the audience. So we will move on from there.
Okay.
Item C on the original agenda has been pulled. We will move on to item D, which is the KPMG engagement agreement. And Fred Glenn, I will ask that you start us off, please, sir.
May I just make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. I mean, I think.
I believe, sorry, I don't mean to interject. We've already approved, didn't we approve the agreement? We just,
So what happens, the agreement had to be entered into by the Board of Commissioners,
Correct.
which was done
Yep.
at their last meeting. Then you will have an appropriation in October.
right, so it's not, this is just a discussion opportunity for you to
So
give
it's
us an
not-
update.
okay,
Right,
okay.
we don't need a motion, it's just more of a
Well-
discussion over where we are with the audit.
Okay.
I mean, the efficiency study.
Thank you for being so, so on it. Well, this is, I think, you know, we've discussed this with every one of you. This was an idea that we had to do, an efficiency study. We've been talking about doing this for a while. It's just taken a while to get it implemented. We want to go through and just make sure we're spending taxpayer money appropriately. We also want a more informed council as we start to get this information. I think that we got some very well-run departments in Hamilton County. This is not anything about our departments or how they're run or any specific thing we're looking for them, but we do want to be a better informed council. We want to make a better informed decisions, and we also want to make sure we're being good stewards on behalf of taxpayers, and this will help us do that, so.
There are questions specifically for Fred regarding this. I have one, I know that, obviously you've been a champion of the efficiency study from the beginning, and I just want to ensure that we have a proper contact going forward with KPMG to make sure that they are ultimately doing their job. So are you championing this? Because I know that there was some, like from a schedule perspective or anything along those lines, like who is getting the communication directly from KPMG?
Myself, Ken,
Okay.
and Mark, Commissioner Herbrandt are getting it right now. So we're the ones that are pretty much in contact with them,
Okay,
so.
But for the singular point, I
Yeah,
think is.
the singular point for,
I mean, I could be that's fine,
Okay.
and also, I mean, if it gets to the point where anybody on council wants to communicate with anyone from the firm that we intend to hire, I don't think that's an issue either.
no, and I just want to make sure as we go through and we have the schedule in place that people are aware and there's no confusion, so that was all, and if it,
Yeah,
okay,
and we're gonna get to we're all open to, working with people on timing of this. It sounds like we're gonna get to the, on certain department, we'll probably get to the meat of it in January.
Yeah,
So-
I just to add to that, I think as you start to peel the onion and you start to see the depth of what they're looking to study, it's quite an undertaking, not only for them, but also for our departments. And so, being open and transparent about what that's gonna take and hearing from our departments and how they can best support it is kind of our best step forward. And I think, you know, we wanna work with everyone to make sure that this is rolled out correctly and with great value to our departments as much as to anyone else.
Exactly. It's gonna help with that. We want it to be a tool and a benefit and information for everybody involved on both sides, so.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Will this consulting group, will they ever set foot in Hamilton County?
Yeah, we will have a point person here.
I mean, it's not gonna all be Zoom meetings, is it?
No.
Okay.
We did have a point person here, I think that's changed up, but yeah, we'll definitely have somebody.
Because the only time I ever seen him, we had a Zoom meeting several months ago, but there will be actually somebody put on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, they'll be here all the time, but we will have a local point person.
When this first conversation was first coming up, you know, we were all kind of in the midst of the whole COVID pandemic thing. So, I mean, obviously there was some reasons why we were holding people apart. I think that they've made every effort to say that if we can plan out times, they will be here to perform. We have to help with the timeline, set up the engagements. But yeah, I believe they have made that commitment.
Yeah.
It is part of what they put in front of us, is that it included the coming here to do that.
Yeah, we do want to, and we discussed this at the beginning, like he said, though, it was in kind of the COVID Zoom meeting phase of bringing people in at times where if, you know, we're in the middle of working with a certain department where we bring in, you know, representatives from the Board of Commissioners, representatives from our committee, and we get together, everybody together at the same time in the same room, and that's conference room 1A or whatever else, to really kind of figure out what's going on and how we're gonna support things going forward.
Brad, is there a specific time that you're looking for them to come in? Would you like to have periodic updates?
No, I have no experience with one of these efficiency studies, nor this company that we've hired. I've heard their name, but I didn't understand how that works. So generally speaking, they require whatever office or department to produce a whole bunch of reports, and then they analyze the reports. That's why I wondered if they were ever physically gonna come to Hamilton County.
Well, they're also gonna come and sit down and talk to people about process, about how
So the
things.
answer would be yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Because I kinda figured that's what we were paying them the $400,000 for. But
What do you mean?
produce
The
the
report?
studies. But it appears that they want the department to do the work, and then they'll analyze the work the department does.
I mean, unless.
Well, they have to be able to pull the reports. They can't evaluate data without having our data, so they would have to have those
So
reports.
that puts the onus on the department.
Well, that puts
to
some of the initial onus on the
There is,
departments, but I mean,
correct.
in this day and age, it's not like you're gonna give somebody the key to a filing cabinet that's filled with a bunch of paper, and you're gonna have somebody open up a drawer. You're talking about computers, you're talking about passwords, you're talking about security.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much
So,
we're gonna
yeah.
have them in there doing that.
Right,
you know?
so so the department, whoever they're looking at or going through, produces these reports, and then the firm analyzes the reports, and that's what we're paying for.
It would be very similar to when we did the original ERP discussion, where you had to have an understanding of what, you know, how things were functioning, so that they could then assess from there and give a recommendation. So it's similar to that, where the interviews with certain folks will be important. And I think one of the things that we can request, and Fred or Ken, I'll defer to you, we could ask for, I think it would be beneficial to ask for a project summary, like an update, whether they do that monthly, quarterly, once everything's kicked off, they can give a detailed.
I'd like to.
Good enough.
So just know that that's something we definitely want to request.
Okay, good enough, that's all I got.
Anything further?
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you very much. Item E, the introduction of ordinance number CC 09-01-2021-A, an ordinance of Hamilton County, Indiana, appropriating the proceeds of the general obligation refunding and project bonds of 2021.
This appropriation ordinance essentially will appropriate the up to $43 million bond proceeds for the purposes we talked about, paying off the BCP bonds and generating $12 million for the parking garage. I know you usually do these in one meeting, but bond council says we need 2 meetings, so we need to have this introduced tonight, and we will advertise a public hearing at your next meeting for final consideration of the appropriation ordinance.
This is introduction only on this?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that motion to introduce?
Yeah, I know, I was gonna ask her.
Is that what you want?
Is that true? Is that a motion?
I'll give a motion to introduce.
Thank you. So moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll see you next
Thank you
month.
very much.
Thank you, sir.
And that may be it, Fred, I may not be back.
I'll miss you, Mike.
Item F, grant appropriation reduction 144 amendments and transfers. Item F 1 through 6 can be combined. Is there a motion to do so?
I'll make a motion to combine 1 through 6.
It's seconded.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now I need a motion for item F 1 through 6 for approval.
So moved.
What? Which one are we on?
1 through 6.
9F 1 through 6.
Is there any discussion? I know Sue seconded.
A motion to
We already
approve
have the
discussion.
approval and then we have the second. So is there any discussion around any of these items within this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move on to item 10, additional appropriations, reductions and transfers, and open the public hearing concerning additional appropriations. Item A, general fund is requesting, there's 3 requests. We'll start with item 1, court administration transfer of $2,500. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have a question on how we're doing this. I know these are small items, but what is our policy now as far as sponsorship goes, or having a council person look at these?
This was just a transfer.
This is a
Transfer, that's right, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Any other? I'm sorry, did I, we had
Yeah, you got a motion and a
Yep.
second.
You messed me up there, Fred. It's been moved and seconded. Seeing none discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item A2, buildings and grounds appropriation of $31,305. Is there a motion?
So moved.
In the old days, this one would have been the one that needed
Second.
Thank you.
the name beside it, right? Because that's an additional appropriation over and above the budget amount.
So based on the justification though, it's a reduction for solar that was appropriate under the wrong line item. So it was just moving money from
Oh,
one line
okay.
item to the other. So
Alright,
that one was not.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item A3, EMA 144 Amendment 2021 and 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10B, Fund 1138, Cumulative Capital Fund, Buildings and Grounds. It's a reduction, which goes back to the item 2 that was above in item A. We're
So
reducing and moving. Thank you.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, Fund 1148, Hamilton County Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs, requesting $22,484.19, sponsored by Steve Nation. Is there a motion?
Steve?
So moved. Yeah, I was just saying, you better sponsor your own thing there,
So
buddy.
moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I would request the funds be transferred from prosecuting attorney deferral, prosecuting attorney pretrial. You got anything for this?
What are you doing?
He's reading.
Reading the request. Right here.
Where you at, Amy?
The same place that he was reading, which is the reimbursement. Is there discussion around this?
I was just
Okay.
kind of updating on it, and that the, Councilman Nation, you got any?
No, and Monica's here if we need to ask
Anything
anything.
on that, that's,
If you have any questions, I can come up.
It's reimbursements.
yeah,
basically.
we're trying.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item D, Fund 1159, it's a health transfer of $400.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item E, Fund 1175, the misdemeanor fund, requesting $85,307.29. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Fund 1213, guardian ad litem, requesting $69,700. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Fund 1222, Public Safety Communications 144 Amendment 2021 and 2022. This is backfilling vacancy and applying the formula. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you, motion carries. Fund 2500.2501, User Fee Fund, pretrial diversion, requesting $200,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Item I, Fund 4807, the non-reverting computer maintenance, requesting $901,102.90. This is a network project for the sheriff and Lifeline. It's coming out of the non-reverting, which was already budgeted, so.
So moved.
That's a whole lot of computer maintenance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I need a second.
Thank you.
And Chris wasn't here, so if there's questions, we can use
You
that.
can ask 100 questions about this right here. Ain't gonna help me.
Did you get a second, Amy?
Yes, I did. Is there any other discussion? Or any discussion, I should say? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And at this time, I will close the public hearing on additional appropriations, and we will move on to announcements. Sheriff?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Thank you. Council Attorney?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Auditor? At this time, we will adjourn. Thank you.